Okay, hi, I'm Frank from Safety Third Racing. I got Lincoln from also Safety Third Racing, also RU FPV.
Yep.
And what we're going to do is we're going to build these super cool tiny whoop gates that are illuminated on the inside, and they're based really heavily on the Flight Test $10 one. The difference is the connector at the end, which allows you to do several things. You can either power it with a battery, or you could power it with a AC adapter. So let's just see what it looks like when you power it up. First of all, you probably have already seen these. You hold that. Now this is AC power, and that illuminates. Then you take a regular 3S LiPo, you build one of these, which we will show you how to build. You plug this in, and that connector will also power the LED ring. So we're going to go through the build, and we're going to try and knock out maybe 10 of these tonight. We're not going to make you sit through 10, make you sit through one. So let's go through the build list. So this is the completed one. And what we're using is this stuff called SharkBite PEX. If you want to zoom in on that guy. This is 50 feet, and I forget what it cost. It was roughly 50 cents a foot, maybe less than that. We're going to cut that to length, and in fact, we found out that the two popular sizes are 12 inch and 16 inches for the gates. So that translates to 38 inches of pipe and 50 inches. So we're going to cut those two lengths. We're going to fill it with this LED stuff, and I don't know if you can zoom in there, but we're going to end up cutting off the end and soldering in a connector. So again, we're going to make some blue ones. The very first one we're going to make is blue. We're going to cut, I'm guessing, leave about 6 inches for the inside, 3 inches on each end, and we're going to be using this. This is a 2.1 millimeter barrel in there. This is a male connector. That's what's going to go on the end of this. And we're going to use an XC60 connector on the end of the other one, so we can plug it into a LiPo. We're going to use these connectors here for the T's at the bottom. That's what this guy is. And if you want to zoom in on that, we'll put the build list in the description. Mm-hmm. And this is the terrible finger cutter. That's just, you're going to want to get one of these. They're super cool to use. Just don't get your finger or anything else in there.
Good for PVC for sure.
Absolutely. And that's it. Those are the only things we need. So part of the whole project is being able to power these with LiPos. And I just had it in my hand. Okay, here we go. So we have this thing. This is a female connector, and we got an XT60, because when we're in the field, what do we have lots of? Lots of XT60s, and that's what we're going to power these with. So we're going to take one of these. Oh no. One of these. Oh, and let me introduce Mike. He is our soldering expert, because I'm going to mess this up. So here we have a bunch of these that we're going to give him. These now belong to you.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Temporarily, for however long it takes.
That's right, that's right.
And then we've got these little things. There's male and female in here, so you'll have to...
Sure. I've made a few of these in the past.
You're going to use this end of it.
Okay.
So you got that. And I've got some really cool... I don't know if you can tell, but just touch that shrink wrap really hard, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And you see this stuff coming out that's an adhesive.
Oh, that's
Let me zoom in on that. You see that right there? That adhesive? This makes it really strong. And I've got... There it is. See that bad right there? So we can use this stuff that has adhesive on the inside and shrink wrap, and it gets really, really hard. So there's your example.
Absolutely.
So you got that, you got that, you got the bag, you got the thing above. We've got this LED strip here, and if you notice, it's segmented. You see a little copper? You can cut it anywhere along there, and then resolder it and provide power to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this end of the connector, we're going to solder it on to the end of this, and if we see how it's done here, notice we have to drill a hole, and you can always imagine what's going to be on the inside. Is this soldered onto the end of an LED, and then this is affixed here so I don't pull it out by accident. And that's what this zip tie is here for. Okay. So what we're going to do is measure. What do we say? This is 38 inches. I had a wire that was perfectly fine, but you know what? It just might go. Here, you hold that, and I'll feed it in there. Then maybe like that. Yeah, that'll be much better. And then when it comes out the other end, I'll just cut the end of it. It is actually quite easy to travel.
There we go.
That's plenty.
Yep.
So what I'm going to do is, it's okay. Let me keep pulling it in. Let me pull it in. You can let go. It's fine. It is going to disappear in there, and that's fine too. I'm going to cut it back to about I'm going to cut it back to about here. Actually, I'm going to choose this one. And this is where we're going to solder it. Right there. Okay, cool. And I want to trim this back because this is going to result in just a dark part of the circle. So I'm motivated to use as little as possible. I'm going to use like maybe that much of it. And then you do this. And then I've got this really cool tool. If you don't have one of these, super awesome. Take one of these, ready? And it just strips it for you automatically. I love these things. Got that? All right, cool. So the idea is, and you come back, we'll just be soldering that to the end. Then we'll shrink wrap it, put a little hot glue on it just to insulate it more, and then we'll put it back in there. Okay,
All right,
cool.
let's do it.
No!
See, even brighter.
What's that image site that you use to store your
So,
images?
if you want to plug a 4-cell battery into your LED, you'll get it actually a lot brighter than it usually is with 3-cell, so it's totally worth a try.
So one of the first things we want to do is drill a hole into each of these so that we can get the cord and the LED up inside. And if you look at these that we built, you can go maybe an inch in, maybe even a little bit less. What you're trying to do is you're trying to clear this object here. I would say, let's go about an inch. Let's take it about an inch in. All right, we can, I'm gonna let you do it.
All right, sure. All right, so...
And you want it to be on, it looks like, we want it on the outside, because it's gonna go down to wherever, you know, the pole's coming out. So it's gonna be on the outside.
So we'll line it up, I'd say an inch is about like right
Yep.
here or so.
Yep.
So we'll do that.
And then rock it back and forth a little bit just to
So,
widen it. Yeah. There you go. Perfect.
Should be good enough.
That's it.
All right, awesome.
Cool. All right, it's a little bit of an interesting problem getting the connector and the LED soldered correctly and oriented properly. If you notice, we want kind of a small hole in here, but the LED is not going to fit through there. So what you want to do is feed your LED through in the beginning, like that, and then put your connector through like that. The operation is going to be simply to solder it like this. You got that? Oh, this probably, let me do this here. Solder it like this, then put a little bit of electrical tape on it, then pull it through, and then we'll secure the whole thing with a zip tie. And where we set this up.
Do you need audio for this or what? One strategy that that makes soldering a lot easier is if you tin the copper pads first. What tinning is when you add solder to each of the pads. So then the only thing that you have to do to solder the two different items together is that you just melt the solder on it once they both are tinned. So let's grab some solder here, and you want to, yeah, if you can
just
hold that, go for it.
I love some tweezers.
There we go. And so tinning is very easy. You just melt some solder onto it. Don't breathe in the smoke.
Those are beautiful solder dots, by the way.
Thank you. All right, so now if you can bring that over to my side here. Now all you have to do is heat up both sides and it will melt on immediately. See right there. Nice. Good. And this. Nice. Cool. Wait.
Oh,
Oh, didn't cool.
no,
Didn't cool. That's what happens when your soldering iron's too hot. There we go.
Now, before we do anything, let's test to make sure this works. Now, I've got a hot AC going right here, so let's bring it around this way. And I forget what color this was. Are we blue? Is that what this is?
Blue, yeah.
Oh man, that was great. Very cool. So
Delicate operation here.
Yeah, you don't need audio for that, so we're fine.
this one works, so I'm going to go ahead and glue it. It's funny, Andrew was the one who really wanted to bring those in. We'll just shove that back in there a little bit. And what's going to happen is I'm going to put this on this end, that on that end, and we're just going to push. What I am going to do is I'm going to start it off with just a little bit of hot glue on one side and just do them one side at a time, because even though it's a little bit flexible, this is actually quite... there we go. Okay. There we go.
And just position it so that it's lined up, right?
Should be.
Yeah, it's good. It's
about
good
right?
enough.
Okay, cool.
I just want to
Yep.
highlight that.
And then, even though this stuff is flexible, it is quite rigid. So what I'll do, it's going to take one person to do it. All right, cool. All right, good. I just want to flex it first and then put some glue on it. A little bit of hot glue on the end. You don't need the hot glue to get it to set, because there's so much pressure on it that it'll hold in place without the hot glue. The only reason I'm using the hot glue is so that it doesn't rotate when it's on its stand. There we go. There we go. And then there. So what'll happen is, what I don't want to have happen is it's going to be sitting on a... Let me show you. You can take any one of this 1/2 inch stuff on various sizes, and I'll put this in here. And maybe what I'll do is rotate it up so that it's nice and flat. Okay, there's nice and flat. So when you hit it, that's a little weird.
It's okay. It's later.
It's okay that it deforms a little bit.
Yeah, you can kind of push it a little bit. It'll be fine.
Yeah. All right, so Mike just finished making one of these, so we'll test it, and I'll show you something at the same time. Excellent. So this is how you would work it. You take your 3S LiPo, and you take it to your stick. Actually, go like this. You take your regular LiPo strap. This one happens to be just an awesome Shendrone's LiPo strap that looks very close to the Safety Third LiPo straps, which are also quite awesome. And then you now have a powered LED tiny whoopty, or a bubble wand, or you just set someone in the field doing this. That would be cool. The little kid holding it over the
music so they can sync up to the music.
Yeah, we'll have them sync to the music. That would be cool.
We totally have to do that.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
That's such an awesome idea.
Cool. So we laughed and joked. We had a great time. It took us a 1/2 hour to do this. If you were by yourself, you could do it in 5 minutes. So don't do this with friends, because it's just too much fun.
The math was off.
Mike is a fucking man.
Stretch that out.
What's going on?
Mike said 2 pi r, and I said it's yours, baby.
Isn't that the perimeter of a circle?
Yeah, just about.
Mike, 2 pi r, right? Just
Yeah.
hide behind that, because you can't go.
Pi
wrong.
r squared is the area. So
Well,
2
then-
pi r is the.
That's a
the
tiny, 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 tiny.
Let's do it.